As we approach the end of 2022, and therefore the end of the 60th anniversary, I thought it'd be the ideal time to take a look back over the events that took place to celebrate this big cinematic milestone. Keep an eye out for another video looking at the sheer amount of merchandise released as well. At the start of the year, not a huge amount had been confirmed, so it was good to see a few more things pop up as the year went on. Of the things we did know about at the start of the year, the UK marked the anniversary in style by re-releasing every Bond film in cinemas throughout the year, ending with No Time to Die in the week of the anniversary itself. A little disappointingly, this was limited to bigger cinema chains like Odeon, View and Cineworld, so, for the likes of people in rural areas like myself, these screenings weren't easy to attend without a big journey. However, we should count ourselves lucky, as the US were offered just the one screening of Dr. No, which was streamed to cinemas rather than making use of the 4K prints used in UK cinemas. The UK box office takings acted as a good barometer as to the public's Bond film preferences, with the more grounded films, including both the Daltons, Lazenby's single outing, and unsurprisingly 3 of Craig's, making the top 10. This will no doubt reinforce the direction that future Bond films take. ITV in the UK did their bit to help by showing the films on TV in the same weekend as the respective cinema release for every film, apart from No Time to Die. To mark Global James Bond Day, we were treated to another new documentary, in a similar fashion to the Everything or Nothing documentary from 2012. This time, the focus is on the music of Bond, featuring new and archive interviews. To mark the new age that we live in, the documentary was streamed on Amazon Prime on James Bond Day, rather than being a home media release. For Bond fans well versed in the lore of Bond history, the documentary didn't offer a huge amount of new content, and the heavy focus on No Time to Die, and some glaring omissions, annoyed some, but it was still nice to get something new in terms of Bond content. No news yet on a home media release. Linked to this, and announced earlier this year, there was also a Sound of 007 concert, which was produced by Bond composer David Arnold and performed at the Royal Albert Hall on the 4th of October. Rather annoyingly, being a weekday meant that this too was not possible for a large number of fans to attend from areas outside of London, but it proved to be a top evening for those able to attend. Amazon did film the concert and arranged for it to be streamed on Prime, but it was heavily cut to just an hour, missing out on a number of instrumental sections, as well as some performances from the guest artists. It's unknown whether the full concert will one day be available, either on Prime or via a home media release. The Royal Albert Hall is also playing host to a number of screenings of 3 of Craig's outings later in November. Similar to their screening of Casino Royale a few years back, which I was lucky enough to attend, it will see the films being screened alongside an orchestra performing the soundtrack to the film. Although they screen various films throughout the year, the number of Bond screenings are no doubt influenced by the 60th anniversary. With the Amazon MGM merger being finalised this year, there was some speculation as to what this meant for Bond. Aside from the streaming of the new documentary and making the concert available to view, not a lot has been announced so far. One poorly received announcement was that of a new reality show with a very loose Bond theme. This was not linked to the anniversary per se. However, having a streamer tied up with the Bond franchise meant that the Bond films were finally available to stream for all. They appeared on the streaming service for a very limited time earlier in the year, before being re-released for James Bond Day. The BFI also carried out their own screenings of some anniversary Bond films, including Dr. No, The Spy Who Loved Me and The Living Daylights, complete with Q&As with some of the filmmakers involved, as well as alternative and extended cuts. They also held an exclusive screening of the new documentary in advance of the wider release. Christie's carried out an anniversary charity auction, with some very exclusive items being available to purchase, including screen-used stunt cars and costumes and props worn by the cast. The auctions, one in person and one online, raised a huge sum of money, but some of the items went for extortionate amounts of money. Another event to take place was another Bond Stars organised event at Pinewood Studios, focusing on the 60th anniversary with a number of Bond alumni in attendance. Pinewood also held the official opening of the Sean Connery stage, just before James Bond Day, with Broccoli, Wilson and Connery's granddaughter Saskia in attendance, as well as the usual Bond alumni. Broccoli and Wilson also attended an event at the TCL Chinese Theatre, placing their handprints in cement to commemorate the anniversary, with Blofeld himself, Christoph Waltz, in attendance. This was shortly followed by the producers being recognised as the Will Rogers Motion Picture Foundation Pioneers of the Year, with Daniel Craig and Michelle Yeoh presenting the award. It has been a busy year for the Guardians of the Bond franchise, as they were also both awarded the BFI Fellowship Award earlier in the year, with Ralph Fiennes and Naomi Harris and other key figures from the series' past attending an awards dinner. Adding to this recognition further, they also both received CBEs from Prince William earlier in the summer. Sticking with the royal theme, and before the sad passing of Her Majesty the Queen, Bond was able to play a small part in the Platinum Jubilee celebrations earlier in the year, with a number of Bond cars taking part in the pageant, part of which celebrated cultural events that had taken place during the Queen's reign. And no doubt timed to coincide with this special year, Daniel Craig was presented with the Order of St Michael and St George by the Princess Royal, the same honour held by James Bond himself, to add to his title of Commander received last year. An event not linked to the anniversary, but something that happened all the same, was the long-awaited re-release of the original N64 game of Goldeneye. Remakes have been made over the years, but never matching the original success, and never delivering on the nostalgia of the original. Nintendo have announced that the game will be available as part of their online expansion pass, granting access to old N64 titles, whereas Xbox will be making it available through their Game Pass. Unfortunately, there were no further updates on the new 007 game being produced by IO Interactive, other than the fact they are still advertising for developer roles, putting the release some years away yet. As previously announced, not one but two new Bond books were released this year. One, written by Anthony Horowitz and adding to the two he's already released, picks up where the Man with the Golden Gun left off. And Kim Sherwood released the first in a planned trilogy, Double or Nothing, with the aim of expanding the Bond literary universe by exploring the other 00 agents. Again, not strictly tied to the cinematic Bond anniversary, but Ian Fleming Publications did make their own James Bond Day announcement. They are planning a new set of Fleming hardbacks next spring, printed under their own imprint for the first time to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the literary Bond. Despite the vast array of events, the actual James Bond Day was a bit of a disappointment overall. Bond fans really wanted some sort of big announcement about the future of Bond, however unlikely this may have been. Expectations were tempered in the run-up to the big day through interviews with Broccoli and Wilson, but I believe fans still expected some surprise announcement. Rather disappointingly, Eon are in no rush to get moving with the next film, despite having had 3 years since filming wrapped on No Time to Die to start developing the next film. Let's not forget, we went into this anniversary year in a weird position, with Bond being killed on screen. Being presented with a blueprint for the future of the cinematic Bond, however limited this may have been, would have really put the cherry on top of a year of celebration.